So yeah, we'll get started in a little bit. I highly encourage you guys to try all the delicious food that we have. Um, Morgan, God bless her, really kicked the food up a notch. She's been amazing. The Fairmont, which we will talk about later, too, have really stepped up the bat too. We kind of kicked it up a notch. We're a smaller, more intimate group, like I said, but we are growing. Some amazing things are going to happen today, so stay tuned for that. We should have background music. Note to self. Like Muzak, not just regular music, just Muzak. So all like the top 40 hits, so like Starships in Muzak form, I think would really complement the social media breakfast. So yeah, grab some food. We'll get the party started, and we're gonna have a great panel discussion today. So stay tuned for talking about building communities on and offline at Social Media Breakfast 17. Cue Starships. I really wish it's like oh, did it die? Aha! And you can all see my calendar. Here's your daily dose of inspiration. If you ever feel like a corgi who needs to jump over hurdles, then if you believe you will succeed. And oh man, every time I look at it, I smile. I know, right? Are we just stalling? Is that what you said, Randy? I can hear you. No, we're grabbing food and then we're going to do introductions and I'm firing up the PowerPoint. So yes, to answer your question, I am stalling. Don't open up anything offensive. What word do we want to use to describe the hotel? Extravagant. Fantabulous. I like it. So yeah, we're on it. So, I'll reach out to Sobeys.
I was going to tell you that. To get them on board. Okay, this is my little call.
That's cool. Who else was I thinking?
Kylie has a couple people who said that.
Talk to Rose Randall. She's working the Focus now and they're doing the indies, so you can talk to her about it. Just don't say I said it. So, welcome again to Social Media Breakfast numero 17. Once again, my name is Steve Hodges, or Stephen Hodges, or Hedgehog on Twitter. And I will be your host / moderator for this morning. So welcome one and all for coming out so darn early in the morning. This used to be early in the morning for me until I actually got a corporate job, so that was kind of exciting. I'm like, yeah, I know, right? Especially when the sun's just coming up, I'm like, wow. What are you doing so far in the west right now? Like, what's east? Take two. So, how many noobs do we have? Show hands. A smattering of new people. Welcome. Welcome. Like, I get applauded for being new. This is awesome. So, the Social Media Breakfast is a place for us social media noobs or aficionados to get together, discuss effective practices in our own personal and professional lives, and actually just share our own experiences. I started tweeting or dropping the twits a couple years ago, and I didn't really know what Twitter was all about. I actually had an alumni from the PR program, Miss Andrea Lauder, who's in the back, actually reach out to me on Twitter, and we talked on and off and had a few beers together, but I'm like, oh man, I actually know this person, and they're actually wanting to talk to me online. Imagine that. So I started dropping random facts and compliments and all that stuff, and slowly started talking to people and joining in the conversation, and really saw the benefits of it. We're not here to talk about me, though, but follow me. You'll see my Twitter handle later. And once again, our discussions just help nurture Edmonton's social media community, which is actually what this presentation is all about. We're going to have an awesome panel discussion with 3 great individuals about building communities on and offline in our great city of Edmonton. So after the presentation, stick around for a little bit. Just meet people offline. And then you can talk to them online later about how awesome it was to meet them offline. And then the circle just keeps on going. So it's amazing. These are the sponsors of the venue and our video broadcasting. MarketWire, who is getting on board. They're going to help us out with some really amazing things, so stay tuned for that. The good folks at the CBC, they're awesome venue sponsors. We love the Center Stage. It's a great venue, so let's give them a hand. They've been on board since the very first Social Media Breakfast, back when they're like, what, you want to have breakfast in our venue? Go on. Fuse Logic TV, Evan. The man, true story, the man apparently got T-boned last month, so he didn't make it, rightfully so. But he's dusted himself off. took all his video equipment and biked here with a lovely bike, which I know he didn't really do that, but Evan is dedicated to the cause. We are streaming live off in Internetsville, so hello all you people who aren't paying attention to the work you're supposed to be doing, but listening to me talk. I appreciate it. And now our food sponsors with this lovely 8-bit resolution one. I apologize, I didn't get the higher res one, but they're awesome. The food is way better resolution. If you guys saw those awesome fruit bouquets, they're delicious. They really stepped up. So let's hear for the good Hotel McDonald. And speaking of the Hotel McDonald, we have a contest. Dun, dun, dun. See, this is why I need music. Or suspenseful music. Thank you. So Art's going to be my DJ for today, so scratching on the ones and twos. So mention an interesting fact about the Hotel McDonald and use the MacFact or an SMBYEG hashtag to qualify for a one-night stay in an executive suite at the Hotel McDonald plus breakfast for two, and it's a $600 value. Did I spell something wrong? See, it's a sweet suite. I'm not going to tell you what I do. I'm a communications professional. My spelling sucks ass. So, a sweet suite. I would call it a suite because they're freaking amazing. Have you stayed at a Fairmont? Yes. Yeah, I know, right? It's like you're a king. And it's a $600 value, which we all know is actually the value of the breakfast. Because the food is so delicious. They make it out of like gold flecks. It's delicious. So, throw a random fact out there. I don't know. Maybe you know someone randomly who stayed there before. Or maybe the architect of the Hotel McDonald also was a superhero in his alternate life. I don't know, some sort of random fact like that. You guys got smartphones. You guys can connect wirelessly to the CBC wireless internet. CBC guest, so CBC guest. And the password is, wait for it, also CBC guest. So,
It's the connection CBC-guest.
And thank you, Morgan, who is amazing. So, the Social Media Breakfast Committee is myself, Hedgehog, Jackie Fraser, who is dreadfully ill. So if you guys could all tweet Savage Tyner and tell her to get better soon because we miss her and we adore her and she's amazing. Morgan, who is our awesome sponsorship gal, who is rocking her iPad as we speak. Morg's Live. Brent Jans, Renaissance Stork, and Kylie Robinson. KJR, I think she already left because she had a work thing to get to. But drop a sweet tweet sometimes. We'd love to chat. And if you want to talk to Social Media Breakfast as a whole on the Twitter, SMBYEG, also feel free to follow SMBYYC, our sister event, who we plan on hopefully doing some awesome stuff in Red Deer with, so stay tuned for that. So, if you want to be as awesome as the Hotel McDonald, you don't have to donate a night stay at your house because that might be weird. But if you want to sponsor breakfast, it's in and around $200. You can fill our minds and our bodies with nourishment. So drop us a sweet tweet at SMBYEG or connect with Morgan, and she will love to talk to you. And if you or someone you know would like to speak at a social media breakfast about anything social media related, it could be social media and food, social media and video games, social media and throw something out randomly, social media and improv. Randy? Think about it. So, talk to Savage Tyner or Jackie or us at Social Media Breakfast. So, the next Social Media Breakfast will be Friday, June 29th in this very room. And stay tuned for announcements. We should hopefully get them out in the next couple weeks. So, stay tuned. And if you guys are interested in attending a Social Media Breakfast in Calgary, maybe you're just in the area, you thought you stopped by. They are the second last Friday of every month. And you can drop a sweet tweet to any of their organizers. Donna McTaggart, Donna McT, Chet Matchett, Chet12, Kevin Hayes CA, Catherine Sakali Stevens, who's Calgary Networks or Calgary Speed Dating, and Mike Spear. So now I'm going to take some time to introduce our panelists. Actually, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take some time so we can all introduce ourselves. Typically, we do this at the end of the event, but we're going to mix it up. We're going to call an audible. So I'm going to pass this microphone around. You're going to say your name, your Twitter handle if you have one, and what you did this past long weekend. If like keep it PG though, because we are streaming live on the internet. So, okay, keep it PG-13 then. All right, so starting with Morgan.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Morgan Hrenek at Morgs Live on Twitter, but I think you've gathered that by now. I'm sitting here thinking, what did I do on the long weekend? I didn't do anything on the long weekend. I seriously didn't. Had some Twitter conversations. That's what I did on the long weekend. So that's that.
Hi, good morning. I'm Stephanie Molina. I'm at Mundos Molina, and this long weekend I went to hip hop in the park and enjoyed the absence of giant pickup trucks in the city that all went camping.
Hi, I'm Lana Cuthbertson. I'm at Lana Cuthbertson on Twitter, easy enough. And I also didn't do anything on the long weekend. So, yeah, nothing too exciting to report there.
I'm Sarah Teasdale, and I'm Serendipity8 on Twitter. And on the long weekend, I worked a lot, so I served a lot of bowlers a lot of beer.
I'm Tiffany Linky Boyko at Tiffany KLB, and the long weekend I had a number of barbecues with lots of friends.
Hi, I'm Linda Lai, and I don't have a Twitter, but my dear friend here is trying to get me hooked up. And for the long weekend, I was in Kananaskis.
Hi, I'm Jody Backer at Miss Jody B, and I was actually in Kananaskis with Linda for a night, and I did some baking over the long weekend.
Curtis Jaffrey, Curtis Rocks, ROX on Twitter, and I didn't do a darn thing on the long weekend. I went to White Ave and had a few pops.
That's
I'm Andrew Parker, Chef A. Parker on Twitter. The long weekend I went to Kelowna and went rafting and enjoyed the sun, and it was awesome.
I'm Randy Brzozowski. I'm Rand Wolven on Twitter. I'm also a Group of Rogues on Twitter. For the long weekend, I downloaded Diablo 3. So I just leave it at that.
So you won't be seeing Randy for the rest of the summer, because he'll be leveling up.
Evan Adams, at Adams on Twitter, or at FuseLogic TV, and several others that you'll never find, or you'll never know are me. I smoked a 5-pound pork butt, which is actually a pork roast. No. I asked Acme Meat Market if they had bone-in pork butt, and my wife just started laughing. And I went camping with my cats, which was hilarious. That's it.
I don't know how you follow up that, but my name's Andrea Lauder. I'm at Andrea Lauder on Twitter. I also do social media for U of A Public Health, School of Public Health at the University of Alberta, and that's what I do. On the long weekend, I recuperated from my 3-week master's intensive. That's it.
She's a wild one.
My name is Christy Wozniak, so Christy Wozniak, Twitter or Key Lime Clothing, and for the long weekend I barbecued, worked, and drank. So
nice. I'm Bobby Cullum, Real Tricky Lady on Twitter. I went with my family. We parked in the middle of a big field somewhere north of here, like 3 hours, and camped.
Was it Jurassic Forest?
No. I think so. We heard some things rumbling in the bushes. No, but near Rock Island Lake, and literally, thank goodness for generators.
My name is Richard LaSwear, R.LaSwear on Twitter, also EDM Wireless, and a couple of Kiwanis Twitter names as well. On the long weekend, I returned from visiting my mother in Ontario, who was not doing well, and it was an excellent visit, and we were really glad we went because she died on Monday.
That's also a very difficult one to follow. I'm Keely Latoon at KA Latoon, and on the long weekend, I helped friends in Calgary renovate their bathroom. Very exciting.
Hi, I'm Aaron Poog. I'm Interslice Music on Twitter, and on the long weekend, I helped a friend move.
My name's Cam Rutten. I'm also C Rutton on Twitter, and I'm spent the long weekend doing yard work and fixing it up from the weekend. The only guy praying for so long weekends right after yard work, so didn't happen.
My name's Tammy Lee. I'm Tama Lee on Twitter. I spent the long weekend. I got to meet my baby nephew for the first time, and then we took and dunked him in a church.
For those of you who don't know what that is, that's baptism, just in case you were curious.
I totally want to dunk a baby in a church.
Now every mother's going to go run and dunk their kids because it's the it thing to do. They're like, yes!
I'm Sarah Sinfield. I tweet for Top Draw Inc., or you can follow my tweets at Sarah E. Sinfield. What I did on the long weekend, you can't tell the city of Edmonton, but I started my chicken coop, so that's actually really exciting.
Backyard chickens.
Woo! Urban agriculture.
Good morning, I'm Nicole, and I'm on Nicole Lynn Biz on Twitter, and this weekend I got to stay at the Hotel Mac.
Because she works there. Secrets out. Go on.
I'm Say Sandra. I'm an all-around Twitter gal doing all sorts of arts related and any sort of events.
Just shamelessly promoting all things awesome
Shamelessly
online.
promoted, yes. For the weekend, what I did is chase my kids and contemplate gardening.
Did you dunk them?
They're a bit big for dunking, though. It's like you need a big pool.
Hi, I'm Art Proctor, and my main Twitter handle is AJ Proc, but I tweet under several different incarnations, and what I did on the weekend was gardening and watching movies.
Awesome. Well, welcome one and all to Social Media Breakfast. And now, which I think was rather strategic of our awesome panelists, is they were actually in and amongst you all. And you may or may not have known it. So I'm going to take some time to introduce our panelists. So if I could get Mr. Cam Rutton to come to the stage and grab a lovely red chair, if you like. As well as Tiffany, if you could grab a lovely red chair. And you, Sarah Bear, if you could grab a lovely red chair as well. I know. I will have nicknames for all of you. So here's another mic. So, some of you are all like, what makes these guys so special? Well, they are all part of awesome organizations that plan awesome community building events. So, what we're going to do is we're going to start to my left, your right, and Sarah will tell us all about SMBYEG. Tiffany will tell us all about Startup Edmonton, and Cam will tell us all about Bob Edmonton. So, starting with you, Sarah, tell us all about SMBYEG.
SMBYEG. Is this on? I can't ever tell. Anyway, SMBYEG is an event that Top Draw sponsors every single solitary month. And it stands for Online Marketing Meetup, but SMBYEG sounds so much more fun and is way easier to tweet. And what the whole thing is about is internet marketing. And so that is kind of a broad spectrum. What is internet marketing? Pretty well anything related to the internet. We have presentations on Twitter, like Twitter applications such as Hootsuite, Social Bro, those kind of things. We talk about search engine optimization, conversion rate optimization, those big scary things. We try and break them down and make them approachable for everyone. So our target audience is anyone. We have a lot of industry people that come out to it, and we also have a lot of small business owners. And because it's a meetup, I don't know if you guys have been to meetup events, but you get some real random people, so that makes it interesting all the time. What else to say? We host it at Lux. We buy you beers and some snacks, so you should all come at least once to see if it's a fit for you. And yeah, it's a lot of fun.
When's
Randy?
the next SMBYEG event? Oh, you heard a question already? Is that...
Yes, and that's kind of the real perk for all of you small business owners is that if I can't wrangle enough awesome people into doing a presentation, we quite frequently do a site audit where we will go through your website and in very kind terms tell you what is working, what is not working, and what you should go home and change. Like what you should leave SMBYEG and change, like right now. So yeah, there's that added value, and it's just a lot of fun. So if you are interested in presenting or attending or anything like that, just come talk to me.
or tweet me or email me. Yeah, there's a million ways to get a hold of me. So yeah, next one I do believe is June 20th. It's the third Wednesday without fail. So just look at your calendars because I don't have mine in front of me. Third Wednesday every month.
Awesome.
Lux. End.
Thank you, Sarah. And now you, Tiff.
Start of Edmonton, we say that we want to bring hackers and artists together, and that from that great ideas happen from that collision. So we really focus on entrepreneurs and startups, and we try to have a whole range of programming. So start with somebody that maybe has never considered the idea of being an entrepreneur, all the way to somebody that's at the beginning stages of it and needing assistance with kind of like what next steps are. So we have programs that are, hey, let's just encourage you to think about ideas or what you could create, all the way to people that have now started something and are needing mentorship and needing some help really building their program and their product and their company. We also have just opened a co-work space in the Mercer building. And so that's really, we have drop-in memberships and full-time memberships with the idea of sometimes it gets really lonely working from home or, and you just need that community. So if you're a full-time member, you're doing that full-time, you get a specific desk, you have access to boardrooms, you can use it as your mail address. And ultimately we say it's a great place for community. And that's what our big focus is, that, coming there, if you have an idea, instead of just bouncing it off yourself over your walls, you can, just turn to somebody else and say, hey, when you have a few minutes, can I connect with you about something? So that's really our big thing, is how do we create community around these people that are building things and helping encourage them. And we think Edmonton does some really awesome things, and we want other people to know that and help people grow.
And it's a really pretty space.
It is really pretty.
So my name's Cam. I'm with Bob Edmonton, which is Bob Clubs. It's business over breakfast, although we have a couple lunch clubs because not everybody likes to get up in the morning. But it is a group where people get together, network. And something we've done is incorporated face-to-face networking with online networking. So we built a community of people that want to get together and collaborate, promote themselves, but more importantly, promote other people. So as a Bob Club member, you'd be part of a club, which is part of a bigger family. And in that group, we provide a website, all your social media activity, badges. And what we do is we go around and try and promote, I say amplify what you do. So instead of talking to 20 people today and saying, this is what I'm selling, how many do you want? And our conversation can end there. I'd rather teach you, create the relationship with you that this is who I am and this is what I do and this is what a great referral is for me. And how, now there's 20 people out advocating for me. So we really talk about amplifying. So you can imagine the power of that and the power of the referral network. And again, now with the understanding that business moving forward, and if you draw a line in the sand today, everybody from now on will be using social media. It might be Twitter, that might be the next best thing in 10 years, but it's an acceptable form of business communication. A text, a tweet, I mean, we're all really busy. If I said to go leave here and phone 10 people today and actually between voicemails and everything get a hold of 10 people, you probably couldn't. But you can talk to 100 people in your network. And when we talk about growing your network, it's not just about connecting with people and yes, that's one more follower and that's one more person. It's about connecting with them to put them into your sphere so now they can refer to you again. It's like, well, I don't really know what... Cam seems like a nice guy. Go talk to him. It's, you just meet him for coffee, and that's the low pressure. People don't want that high pressure sales pitch. So that's kind of what the community Bob Edmonton was. And we grew it organically by one person talking to another, talking to two, talking to four, because that's the way we wanted it. We wanted that referral. Even if, again, we're all invited here today, I may not know you, but you know what? If you're a guest of Steve's, then chances are you're a great person. It narrows that... chances are, it narrows down the piece of the pie that, might be. So if you're looking for something specific, again, 20 people going out and talking to 5 people each, that's way more impactful than you just trying to talk to 1,000 people in a day. So Bob Edmonton Bob Clubs is hosting a mixer on Tuesday at the River Cree. It's free to attend, food and everything. And it's just an event where you can meet other business people, like-minded people, chat, talk to them. There's no pressure. You're not going to get sold. It's not a bunch of people going to, I met you last night. This is my product. How much would you like? It's just about that business community. And one of the biggest testimonials we get is when people come back from that and they said, wow, what a great group of people. And they've really, engaged with me, and I feel like I'm a part of it, not just another kind of sales call for them. So, and that's what we do, and that's how it works. So,
Thank you, Cam. So myself, I've been involved in Edmonton social media community for a few years now. And I've seen a few things that actually surprised myself about Edmonton social media community. One thing specifically is just how awesome and warm and welcoming it is compared to other urban centers, social communities in and around that. So my question is to all three of you. And what personally or professionally are you guys most encouraged about? What's your most favorite thing about Edmonton social media community and why?
Are we going to go in order again?
You guys can just step up to the plate.
Sure. I'll start. So one of the things that I really like about the Edmonton community is we can build those kind of relationships online and chat, and we talk about it as, if two people are having a conversation, not very often can you just walk up and say, well, I have an opinion on that. But on Twitter, it's an open group and you can. And again, it's a big, small town where everybody kind of knows somebody, somebody. And that community being online and having that, they're looking to help out. And it's not just the blast and if you're a realtor, this isn't my open house and this is how much it costs. It's about trying to promote the city. And I find most people, when I talk to a lot of people that either get the networking and don't get the online component. So when I talk to them about the Twitter aspect of their business, I say, let's promote other people instead of self-promoting. And, we seem to gravitate into that world where everybody kind of helps, not I'm doing great, I just sold a house, but I'm went for a great lunch and great service thanks to the people at Lux, that kind of stuff. So again, it's self-promoting, but it's promoting other people, and they're a pretty giving community. So.
Well, there's a lot of things that I love about the Edmonton social media community. I think the single greatest strength that Edmonton has, though, is that everybody is so willing to take the connection offline. If people are going to an event, it's like, oh, who's going? I want to meet you. This is what I look like. I promise I'm not as crazy in real life, kind of thing. And that's awesome because I know a lot of people get shy when they go to the larger events, and it's just nice to have, hey, buddy, let's do this together. And it's very inclusive. Like I would echo that statement. I love that about Edmonton social media, Twitter, etc. So thanks for being inclusive and meeting me in real life.
The thing that came to my mind was that it's very positive, and so I think it's the combination of both of those, of people being willing to rah-rah someone else's, that they're doing, whether at an event or something personally, and that opportunity to connect with them offline, because if you are in a really large city, you may never have that opportunity, and so I think it's just really awesome that, it's a nice sized community that you will be able to meet that person offline.
Excellent. Also, if you guys at any moment in time have any questions for our panelists, just feel free to raise your hand and I will mosey on up to you, throw this mic in your face, not really throw it in your face, but place it gently towards your general direction, and you guys can also ask our panelists questions too. If not, I will continue to ask them questions and we will have this conversation and pretend you guys are not even here. But I want you to be here because you guys are having amazing questions. Also, people out there in internet lands, if you guys have any questions for our panelists, feel free to ask them and use our social media breakfast hashtag SMBYEG. And Morgan, if you could throw those my way, that would be awesome too. So, Edmonton social media community, small, big city, very warm, very welcoming. What, if anything, would you guys change about Edmonton social media community? What sort of opportunities do you think we have to kind of, quote unquote, as Emeril Lagasse would say, kick it up a notch and just like bam? Because I think that we have the foundation for something amazing. Like you said before, we have a social media community, I think, that rivals like Toronto's in a way that how everyone, like you say, it's very inclusive, it's not exclusive. You can go to a Startup Edmonton event, and then the next day you go to a Bob event, and then you're at SMBYEG, and you're seeing the same people, but you're also seeing new faces. And it's like there's no sorts of pretentiousness to it. It's not like, oh yeah, like you only have X amount of followers, please. And they kind of walk away. But it doesn't matter if you have 1,000 followers or 10 followers or 100 followers. If you're joining the conversation, people welcome you into the conversation. But once again, I ask, what would you like to change, or what sort of opportunities do you think that Edmonton's social media community has to, like I say, kick it up a notch?
I think the thing that came to my mind was that it's still figuring out ways to help people that aren't involved in it to feel like it's not scary and it's not something that's very inclusive. And if you come and you flub up on, on what you tweeted or a hashtag, that people are going to be horrified. And so I think it's helping people figure out, hey, it's okay. Everybody's kind of learning. Some people do have it figured out way more, but it is a community, and it's okay if you don't have it figured out.
And I guess my point would kind of echo that. Like, I would really love to see, and we already do this to some extent, and I don't want to say activism per se. However, I think it would be fantastic, since we are such an inclusive community, since we are such a connected community, to really give empowerment and feet to our community. When somebody has a great idea, let's push that forward. Let's formalize this. Let's do this. Like, there's so many fantastic people and opportunities in Edmonton, and so many people who are poised on the edge of greatness. So I guess just to formalize how we, in some sort of way, like, come behind them and support them. I think we do a pretty good job of this, but we could put Edmonton on the map if we somehow all focused on that at once, I think.
How would you do it?
Go to everything. I think Cam pointed out, a lot of us do that when, in conversation with somebody, or on Twitter or in real life. Just get excited for them. Just talk about it and point out ways to support people. And if I can plug here, one of my coworkers, Janelle Aker, she just launched a website called I Dig Your Girlfriend, and it's awesome. Like, it fits such a niche in this community, and I'm totally going to mess up the acronym because I'm on the spot. But anyway, go to idigyourgirlfriend.com, and you'll see, like, it's just so exciting to talk to her and to talk to Tara about what it is that they're doing, and they need the support. And it's like they're just on the precipice of something amazing. And I think when we recognize that, I mean, if there are friends, sure, we're like, yeah, go you, you're fantastic. But I think a lot of us see that in our streams, and we just need to gravitate towards that and push people to be what they were destined to be. Just to ditch the ego and say, hey, Steve, you've got a fantastic idea. I'm going to throw every ounce of support I can behind you, regardless of the benefit to me. So that's how I would do it. And
awesome. So look out for the greater good of the community instead of on your personal gain. So like you say, if you have a competitor in your respective field and you're like, oh, but I really like this idea, support it. That's really encouraging. Now with communities as well, Cam, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I think that covered it. I mean, we're amplifying what we do. So again, somebody's new, they've got a great thing. There's 20 followers. Who's listening to me? I only have 20 people. But, if leaders in the community and we do as groups just kind of, again, amplify very quickly, 10,000, if 10,000 people saw what you're talking about and 2% wanted to talk to you about it, I mean, that's a huge return. So, again, just having a little bit of social responsibility to be those community leaders and amplify what other people are doing and supporting them. I think the friend follower sort of, this is who I like, and all my friends who follow me might like this person. It's just going to kind of increase your brand a little bit in their brand, and it gives them a little bit more of a status. And I think, I'm kind of business focused, but I think in a business sense, if I look at a company and they follow us on Twitter and I go to their Twitter account and they have 2 followers or they don't do any tweets, I'm like, it takes away your credibility. But again, if they're out selflessly promoting other people that, if they just keep blasting advertisements to people, they're not going to listen. But if they keep talking about great people that they've done business with, and I would use restaurants, so Lux, for example, to say this is who's coming in and thanks for coming in and helping us out. I'm going to listen to that rather than just tune you out. And I say that pretty quickly. If you tell me 20 times how great you are, I don't listen very much. But if 20 people told me how great you were, there's a big difference to that, and it gives some more value. So
awesome. So we have our first question online. Woo, God bless modern technology. A Wagers asks, Are there any other places you guys have been that have great social media communities as well? So maybe in your various travels, road trips, or trips aboard an aeroplane, have you seen another community that has a pretty swell social media presence as well?
I do a lot of business with the UK. That's kind of where Bob Club started. And I've created some great relationships in the UK, and they're, again, online. And then Scottsdale and Phoenix area. And maybe there's a lot of Canadians down there that help that. But they are a very unique kind of group, and I chat all the time with people. And there's a restaurant that I love down there and kind of promote all this stuff. And none of my friends are going there because it's in Scottsdale. But they appreciate it. And again, it's that actual response. But I think that those two communities specifically are well engaged and supportive. Again, what does somebody in the UK care about what we're doing in Edmonton? Good luck in your event. Congratulations on this new member getting a new job, this kind of stuff. So those are two great communities with, again, I think we forget who we're talking to. It's a global community. Or they're listening at least.
Excellent.
Steve is very focused on the iPad.
There's some really good comments on Twitter. It's kind of amazing. Actually, a Wagers also had a suggestion that I'm going to try to implement is have like a Twitter feed on the side here if I have to go like grab a ghetto projector for next time for June's social media breakfast, but to have like the Twitter feed also maybe here. So good questions. Well played, well played. And now continue. Awesome social media communities that you have found in your travels. Go.
Not really my travels, but my home state of Washington, Seattle. I've actually gotten a lot of followers from the music community there. Shout out to KXP. They're pretty freaking rad. There's no way they're watching Fused Logic, but I like to pretend that they are. They seem to have a really vibrant community, and I don't know if that's just because it's the arts and artistic people are just awesome and connect with people that way. But also another Seattle-based company. I want to say SEO Moz. They're pretty active and they've got a lot of people going on the Twitter. So yeah, Seattle. Woo, go Seattle. But I still think Edmonton's better.
I didn't have a specific city that came to mind. I think for me it was like startups in general are, and I don't know if that's a bent towards technology or if it's just the desire to have like they're behind their computer so much, so they just want to talk to other people. So I just find that across kind of North America, people really connect. If they know you're doing a startup or connected to something related to a startup, they're quite anxious to have that conversation.
Another question, Jess, actually specifically to you. You said hackers as well as startup entrepreneurs and all that stuff. Are you talking about the hackers, like the techie ones that you saw in like the movie with Angelina Jolie, and they're like hack the planet? Are you also talking about those hackers that like take old technology or old machines and kind of retrofit them for their needs, like, damn it, I forget what it's called now in Calgary, but they like take like, they hack like espresso machines and they make it a lot better. Are you talking about those sorts of hackers as well too, or just like the nerdy ones?
No, when we say hackers, we like to say, we know that people think automatically like somebody that's hacked into something, but we think it's whatever if you have an idea and you're willing to like put it together quickly and kind of create something and see if it could be something more than that. And so the idea that you don't have to have something really polished first, but rather, throw something together and get it in front of people. See if they would buy it or if they would use it or whatever. And so it could be in the world of art. It can be in the world of technology. We think that hackers has a broader usage than just technology and code and hacking into something.
Like life hackers.
Yeah.
Hack life. Art? Protospace. Thank you, sir. They're awesome. Check them out. I know. What? Another quote. Oh, sweetness. Tamara Weinberg, who used to be known as Tamara Stesic online. Hi, Tamara. What can our social media community do differently or better? Dun, dun, dun.
Well, I think somebody talked about how positive we are as a whole community, and I think that's true, but there are some negative Nancys out there, and I just don't want to wake up
The trolls.
No, I'm not even talking about trolls. I mean, people that we've all met and somewhat love sometimes. they go through a rough time and it's just like dun dun dun, everything's wrong. So I think social media best practice is to kind of gloss over that. We don't want to read it. No. I'm not talking about you. I'm very glad
I got hit by a car.
You're here.
Wham.
You're okay. No, because and for me personally, sometimes I view Twitter and Facebook and all of those social media outlets as my little friends and my little phone in my pocket, and I feel compelled to tell you everything, and that's not really ever a good idea.
Definitely, I
But
agree.
some people don't get it yet. So if you're one of those people who don't get it, get it.
Get it.
I think the other thing that we do is link everything together. So, like Sarah said, I send it to my Twitter, it hits my Facebook, it hits LinkedIn. Don't shout at everybody. I don't really want to see if I'm on LinkedIn to what you did last night, what the dinner was cold, or you've got to understand there's a time and place for everything. I mean, Twitter is sort of the thread that stitches all the social media things together, but realize where it's going and what's being said. Because you'll see somebody on your Facebook stream and it's just this huge long list, and eventually it's hide. And then mute would be another good word for it. And then LinkedIn would be the same. So understand, you're talking to people and they're kind of looking at it, and it seems like you're shouting to me. That's what I feel like. So.
I would agree with all those things, that there is, that sometimes you just don't need to say some things. And so I think self-monitoring sometimes.
Tiffany concurs. A question from Richard. Oh, a comment? All right.
And just to follow up on what Cam said, one of the things that on occasion really irritates me is when people tweet and they cross-platform it. All right, so I see it on my LinkedIn, I see it on my Facebook, and they're very active, and some of it doesn't need to be cross-platformed. There are ways to do that and be more selective about it. But sometimes it clutters everything up, and you don't want to hide them on your Facebook because they have other good things to say,
It's at this point that we all hear Dana DiTomaso, lazy marketing kills kittens.
Yeah.
Tailor your message to your platform.
So this question, I think we can also tie in is like you guys being event organizers or core organizers. It starts off with an idea. You guys are sitting wherever you're sitting, having a coffee or some sort of beverage, and you're like, hey, let's start up an organization that supports the entrepreneurs and hackers in our community. Let's work in building our online and offline marketing community. Let's talk about, let's share information. Let's network. You have these ideas, but sometimes we all have these moments of apprehension or fear. And I think that we can also translate that to people that are debating on whether or not to dip their toes into the Twitter stream, so to speak. They're like, you know what, I kind of want to do a Twitter account. And they're just about to do it. They put a username in, they got their email, they're about to hit yes. And then they're just like, yeah, know what? No, I don't have anything to say. I'm just going to be one of those annoying people on Twitter. I'm not going to be a positive contributor. So they just kind of, exit out of it and they go to TMZ and they read about Lindsay Lohan's latest meltdown or what happened to the Oilers or the Oil Kings or something like that. There's that fear, that apprehension that we all have as organizers. Like you have that brief moment of doubt. So I would like you guys to maybe talk about how yourselves or you guys can have any advice on kind of overcoming that self-doubt, because the barriers we set sometimes are mostly because of ourselves. It's not someone else. Like you say, Edmonton's community, once you're in there, is more than supportive. But 9 times out of 10, the people that build your barriers are yourselves. So how do you guys get over those barriers? And do you have any tips that you would like to share to us? Question mark?
I know when I first joined, I was like absolutely terrified because it seemed really kind of daunting. And then even when I tweet for Startup Edmonton, there are times I think, I hope this is useful to people or interesting. It does feel a little bit overwhelming, but I think most of the time it's totally my own hang-ups. It's like my own self that is thinking, oh no, what if? And so I think for me, it was just like, well, if nobody reads it or retweets it or whatever, what's the worst that can happen? That's it. No one reads it or retweets it. So I think it's sometimes just kind of getting over ourselves a little bit. And, you know, if you're not putting something that's, you know, over the top out there, then you should be fine.
Awesome. Thank you. Cam, have you ever doubted yourself? I doubt it. Look at this guy.
Well, the one thing I always take back, this is common sense to everybody in here, and we understand it. And I think if you take it back to the end user, I'm an average guy, and 90% of the time, something I find interesting, somebody else will. So that's how I encourage people. Part of being in a Bob Club and to get the most out of it is to be an online presence. So, well, who's going to follow me? I said, well, we've got a small family already that you join, and 10 people that will, and then listen to what they say. And then instead of just retweeting and sending it out, I would comment on it. Hey, thanks for the great information. Build those relationships. And in terms of wondering what I'm going to say, is it valuable? Would I want to hear it? Then I think somebody else might want to hear it. Or, is it a question or something that I wanted to do? I would let somebody know. And that's kind of the litmus test for me, and what I send out is if it's something I want to hear, promoting somebody else, or about a great experience. And I guess from the very basics, there's three qualities. It's people, place, and environment that I would tweet about. It's something about a great person, something about, this kind of space I'm in, and something about, what I was doing or where I was. But it'll always be after the fact. And again, just had the best latte from Transcend. Thanks very much for to my barista, Steve, or whatever. It's something that's kind of the way I would do it. And I think people want to hear that. And it's not shouting. It's, Cam was at Transcend and he had met some clients. That's great. But great lattes, everybody wants a great latte. So that's, those important things like that. Again, if you do it under those three sort of categories, then I think it's always going to be something somebody would want to hear, and you would genuinely grow a community. The other thing is, it's your online persona, and I think people find it disingenuous when I've got to know you online and we finally meet at an event, and then you're like, you're totally a jerk now. Totally different than you were online, or vice versa. But that's disingenuous because it's a real community with real people, and if you're not that way, they feel kind of cheated. And I think that's how I let people know how to start and get going. So
I've got something to say. I think that people who are maybe frightened about speaking into the void on Twitter, there's a lot to be said for just listening, searching hashtags, finding things that you're interested in, and just people say it's creeping, but it's not. Like you can learn a whole lot, and I think that the introverted people in the world kind of get a bad rap. So feel free to listen. Like, set up an account, listen, and find someone that you want to engage with. You can learn a whole lot, and that's kind of the approach I take at SMBYEG. I'm an English major. That's what I studied. So how in the world did I end up at Top Draw? Well, I love learning, for one, and I love meeting people. And I think that oftentimes businesses forget that it's okay not to broadcast so much. It's okay to listen. It's okay to engage. It's okay to build those relationships. So start there.
I just want to touch on one thing and then we'll grab your question. I really liked your analogy of throwing it out to the void, so to speak. I also really liked how you can go on and just listen. Tip out there for all the noobs. If you want to just listen, don't switch your avatar from the egg. Just a little tip. Have a picture and then let people know. Just be like, look, I'm dipping my toes into the Twitter pool. I'm just here to listen, period. And that's all you need to do. Very good points, guys. Thank you. I wanted to touch really briefly on your question, and then I will ask another one if you'd like to. So, sir, you have the floor.
This is more of a comment.
That's cool. Comment, question?
I started my Twitter account just over 2 years ago, and I find one thing about the Edmonton Twitter community is that most people are very quick to follow back and engage. Like you start following people that are based in Edmonton, you look for the tag, like, oh, they're from Edmonton, okay, cool. And the more people you follow, the more people that will follow you back. So if you're trying to get followers, that's kind of how it starts. And then, again, with the listening, like just observing, that's when you start seeing what people are talking about and the places and things people are talking about. And then you start conversations with them too. And that can lead to whatever. That leads to your interaction, maybe to tweet ups. You can meet up at, say, a food truck event, for example. You start.
Which are amazing.
I don't
That's
love
right.
those at all.
But I mean, certainly, like I don't know. I found somehow I'm over 500 followers in 2 years for no real good reason other than just interacting with people and becoming acquainted. So
You do have a good reason because you're yourself, and people like that.
that's good. I'm done.
Awesome. Andrea has a question or a comment. Is it a comment? We're just getting a good pat on the back. We're like, Edmonton's social media community rocks. Just wait, one troll's gonna be like, it sucks.
Hand over the microphone, Steve.
Sometimes Stephen likes to hear his own voice. My comment was just about going from the personal to the professional as well. And I'm sure anyone who's done both kind of encounters that moment of, you know, how much do you share on both? And I really struggled for a while when I started the School of Public Health Twitter feed because I thought it was all our faculty and it was all, you know, academics and they wanted nothing but professional all of the time. And people weren't retweeting us and they weren't talking to us and we weren't getting followers. And someone finally gave me the brilliant advice of, you've got this personality over here and you've got great followers and you've had great discussions. So why are you so scared to share that in the professional space as well? People still want to see a personality as well as the academic stuff that they can take away. So don't be afraid to share that. And as soon as that somewhat common sense light bulb came on for me, things really exploded. So it's, you know, we've talked about this a lot in my classes as well, is, you know, people really try to separate the two and don't be afraid to let them kind of pool in the middle and get dirty and share from one another, because that's where you really start to build good, strong communities.
Oh, thank you, Andrea. Can you speak into the mic, please? That was brilliant.
If you're able to be yourself, it also enlists confidence in what you're doing, so you'll feel more comfortable doing it. Instead of trying to like be a persona, be yourself.
So touching on Andrea and Nicole's comment, tweeting as yourself versus tweeting as an organization. Not only do you guys have personal Twitter accounts, but you also have organizational Twitter accounts that you manage, whether it's Top Draw, SMBYEG, Startup Edmonton, Bob Edmonton. So where do you guys draw the line? And sometimes it also helps to promote and grow the communities through your personal Twitter accounts. Myself, I sometimes play around on the SMBYEG Twitter as well as myself, but I also make sure to promote the events through both. Is there a strength to that? Is that also detrimental? Because some people might not like me very much on Twitter, and so they're not going to come to SMB because I talk a lot during it. But so organization versus personal Twitter accounts, where to draw the line, or is there a benefit? Go, talk.
I use both quite actively, but I think part of the two personas is what you put in your kind of bio. So if this is who I am, this is what I do, and this is where I live, and the Bob Edmonton is promoting businesses. So it's kind of like two different radio stations. They're in the same sort of family, but one speaks specifically to business and about business people, and one is myself, and it does business as well. If I like a business under Bob Edmonton, I'm also going to like it as myself because we're the same person. But I think it just people will channel into that. And again, it helps is if you set up that bio properly, different people will listen to that. If they're looking for businesses, then under Twitter's who to follow. I would be a little bit careful again, just to shout at people who just want to monitor it for business about, birthday parties or whatever you're doing. Like there's definitely a time and place, but it has to speak to that, the nature of that channel. So I always think if it's a radio station and one is a sports station, am I going to talk about something that isn't sports? No, because people on that tuning into that don't want to listen to it. And that's the same with the Twitter feeds. I mean, if you use Hootsuite and this is Bob Edmonton, this is Crutton, this is my networking friends list, and this is what I'm expecting of networking friends, and I would expect you to be you plus whatever you do, but I don't necessarily want to hear your Bob Edmonton talking about every other thing. So kind of have to have a balance. But again, at the end of the day, they're you. I haven't ever really done it for a corporate account, so maybe you guys can speak differently to that, because again, it's a little bit different. But at the end of the day, like was brought up, it's the personal approach into that. It's not just facts. It's not just links. It's not just articles. It's got to have some interaction to it.
for me, the personal one, I definitely do talk lots about Startup Edmonton, but I think because it just consumes so much of my life and I quite enjoy it, so it does kind of naturally bleed over, and it would feel really unnatural to not talk about it. In terms of the Startup Edmonton side, I mean, I think the professional one is a little bit more where you have to be a little bit more cautious, in terms of bringing over some of the personal stuff. But we have 4 of us that work at Startup Edmonton as our jobs, and we all have access to it, and we will each take turns depending on what we're doing, tweeting for it. And so I think that brings different tones to it, and it will sometimes be like, hey, we're at this event, or we're traveling, or talking about it. So trying to make it a little bit personal, but not too much information that doesn't have to do with people that are following Startup Edmonton.
Sure, if I can. Do we have the time for me to talk? What I kind of referenced to before is I'm not a developer, surprise. I'm not a web designer, graphic designer, anything like that. Oh my gosh, are you all shocked? You shouldn't be. Okay. So for me, primarily being responsible for the Top Draw account and having so many technical people, that was a struggle when I started and everybody found out, oh, hey, Sarah's going to be talking for us. They're like, oh my God. So it is a balance. It is what's going on in the office, like the projects that we're allowed to talk about, we talk about. But it's also, me waking up in the morning and logging on and saying, hey, good morning, Edmonton, from Top Draw. We're finding that, there's actually been talk of it on the Edmonton kind of Twitter sphere, that people, yes, they expect a certain level of professionalism from businesses, but at the end of the day, Twitter is about connecting. And do you connect with a brick and mortar building? No, you connect with the people in that business. So we're finding there actually is a whole lot of value in saying, oh, hi, I'm Sarah. You'll find me quite often tweeting for Top Draw, come hang out. Oh, look at these pretty flowers outside of our building. So we get a pretty fair mixture of both, I'd say.
I need a mic back. Thank you. I like this one. So now we're going to take a commercial break, actually, and we're going to once again thank our awesome food sponsors, the Fairmont. And actually, if we could get Nicole to come up and say a few words that basically how awesome you guys are about, or maybe some just shamelessly like a 2-minute plug on how awesome you guys are. Or if you want an amazing hotel experience, you want to be treated like a king and or queen and or royalty. Thank you. I like keeping it real. So if you want to come up and just say a few words about the Hotel Mac, just briefly. And also, maybe we'll see if there's any cool Mac facts that we want to share too, because I was reading a few of them. So, Nicole, just a few words. Thank you. You can stay and chill.
Okay, I'll just stay down here. Morning, everybody. I hope you enjoyed all the snacks, some fresh fruit, and I had a tasty chocolate-filled something or other, which was fabulous. I actually got the opportunity to stay at the Fairmont last weekend, as I mentioned, for the long weekend, and there's just, if you've traveled Europe or if you've traveled anywhere, it's just a really historical, fabulous place for Edmonton. It's got so much history in it. It's been around for forever. It's got the best view from a hotel in the city overlooking the river valley, and fabulous feeling bed. I don't think I've had a better sleep. I slept until 11 o'clock in the morning, which was lovely, and the food is to die for as well. So I don't know if you guys have had they have this amazing buffet in this beautiful ballroom that's all decked out like old Victorian and European hotels. So it's not necessarily about a hotel stay as a traveler, but even if you're there, it's about the experience of being at the Hotel McDonald and just being engulfed in everything that you can see there, and take a stroll through the hallways and see the old photographs and the amazing molding on the ceiling, and it's just a really, really beautiful place, and it's about the experience. So I hope that you guys can all take some time to go figure out some facts and enter the contest. We've had some pretty fun facts so far. I love the one about the flourless chocolate cake, because yes, it is very good. So if nothing else, come and enjoy the food if you can't leave your home. But it's a fabulous, fabulous stay as well. And really, really famous people stay there for a good reason. I think Metallica might be staying. No, I'm just kidding.
Are you kidding?
We're not allowed to say.
So I'm going to bring you guys a random Mac fact. Once again, you guys can tune in and find out your own interesting Mac facts. The suite that the Queen stayed in actually has a very small window. However, they couldn't change said window because the Hotel McDonald is indeed a heritage building. So they can't do anything to modify it or change the structure, but because it is a heritage suite. So when not only are you staying in a fancy schmancy hotel, but you're also like taking a trip back through time. It's like if you, funny story, my basement's also like a trip through time, but it's like the 1950s. So if you want to go to the 1950s, house party at my house. But if you want to take in the awesome history that our city has to offer, definitely check out the Hotel McDonald. And thank you again for the awesome sponsorship, guys. So this question is geared more towards Tiffany, but you guys can jump in as required. Startup Edmonton also helps organize some other amazing events, specifically on sharing information or like kicking things up a notch. So, for example, we have Demo Camp, and we have my personal favorite. There's TEDx, and you guys have all seen a TEDx talk. There's actually a TEDx speaker here who presented. So I'm actually going to throw this, maybe a question to Randy as well, too. But tell us more about sharing ideas in the community, and maybe specifically what Demo Camp does to help do that, or what TEDx helps to do that. And maybe if you guys have any other events that you guys have seen that you want to give a shameless plug to or spotlight, please feel free to do so. So other events that help share ideas or build communities, starting with you, Tiff.
So TEDx Edmonton, yes, shameless plug, June 9th at the Citadel, TEDxEdmonton.com if you want tickets. We think that great things have to start with an idea, but we also think that ideas are great, but unless you do something with them, they're only an idea. And so the idea with TEDx, whether at the salon or our main event in June, is to start that and really get people thinking about, okay, what idea do I have and how can I take it farther? And so for some people, we feel like TEDx is a good starting point. So maybe the idea of taking your idea beyond that is really daunting. So it's just starting that discussion about ideas and talking to other people that either may have ideas or may have progressed past just having an idea and are doing something with it. And then our goal after that is to do different things that allow people to really activate those ideas. And Demo Camp's a really cool way to do that because it's basically just show and tell for the community. And so we try to get 5 to 7 people that have built something in a variety of forms. Sometimes it's really just low key. It's never going to be more than just somebody's cool hack job. Mac did one with the Xbox, and he just did it for fun because he thought it'd be cool to have it in his house, and he would be able to give it different commands to tell him the weather or different things like that. And then there's people that have it really farther and are hoping to create a product that they can sell and provide for the community. But it's just that opportunity for people to say, hey, I had this idea, I tried it, and what did you think? And so Demo Camp is a chance for people to present. They have 7 minutes to show their idea. There's no PowerPoint. It's just a pure demo. And then they have 7 minutes of questions. So people asking different things, and it's that chance again for people to maybe say, hey, did you think of it this way, changing it? Or what about using it this way? Or people just saying, hey, I love that idea. One of the last demo camps we had, somebody said, can I give you my wallet right now because I love your idea that much? So it's just that chance to really encourage and create that community of building and moving your ideas beyond just an idea and helping people get excited about doing things, whether or not you become a big time millionaire or it's just you've created something really cool.
Awesome. Now, do you guys have any other events that you really dig?
I'm really excited about TEDx.
Are you?
Really excited.
June 9th.
Awesome. Well, we do have a presenter, so I'm just going to throw a question out to one of our audience members, Randy. Randy presented at the Salon Series, did you not? So maybe if you could touch upon briefly on what your presentation was, how you really loved embracing the TEDx format and maybe what you like about Edmonton's social media community. So, Randy, aka Randwolven, our group of rogues on Twitter, the floor is yours.
Thanks, no pressure. TEDx was fantastic, terrifying, but fantastic. Because, yeah, as you said, it's a way to get those ideas out. But I think what I spoke on there and what's being talked about today kind of dovetail nicely, because one of the things I was talking about is how to actually use social media to affect change. And the point there was taking it beyond just the social sharing and into the community and connecting with real people. And that's something that's been already mentioned here, is that living on your phone is great, and all your little tiny friends in your phone, Sarah, are great, but until you meet them in real life, they're just little digital avatars, and you can only go so far. And the great thing about the TEDx salons is that they're designed to generate conversation on the points afterwards. So it's less lecture, more real sharing of ideas and bouncing things back and forth and getting asked ridiculously, stupidly hard questions by people who go, yeah, what about this? And being up on the spot in front of everybody and being nailed to the wall with awkward questions. So yeah, and that's what I love about the TEDx atmosphere, and I think that's the important thing about social media and events like this and events like SMBYEG, is that it takes you past the digital land where everything is safe and everything is, you think it's intimidating for some people starting social media to tweet. Meeting in person is like, what? No, I have a computer to hide behind. I'm not going to meet in person, then they might see me. Which, as soon as you realize the other person you're going to meet is feeling the exact same way, the stress is gone. and you can get some really meaningful connections out of that. Did I answer the question? Was there more? Okay, thanks.
Also, a little did you know about Randy is he's also part of YEGProv, so you guys should definitely check out one of their shows, because it's also a great example of community building. Maybe one day we'll have a YEGProv. Yeah, it's basically Twitter improv. Maybe one day we'll have a Twitter improv, YEGProv performance at a social media breakfast. A bunch of guys who are all groggy who have barely woken up in the morning trying to make you laugh. I can't wait. My question now is, and we've kind of touched upon that, sometimes there's negativity in the community. Sometimes there's, let's face it, it's not all wine and roses and unicorns and rainbows. Sometimes there's conflict in the community. Sometimes you'll see two very vocal people online get into some sort of a fight or spat, verbal sparring. Richard's like, never. Sometimes it happens. So maybe what would you do if you guys were engaged in a conflict? Or how would you deal with a conflict in the community to either quash it, or maybe you want to egg it on, who knows? But what would you do if there's conflict in the community?
You get a microphone and go on Fused Logic and say, Jerry, I'm so sorry for arguing with you about macarons. I was not wrong. Anyway, this
So
is,
you were actually engaged in a conflict?
Yes, Jerry and I had a
Ooh,
debate.
case study.
Yeah. Well, and it's really funny because, it talks about Cam talking about local businesses. We love Duchess. Everybody loves their macaroons. I say it like a total yank, and that's fine. And Jerry's like, well, no, they don't sell macaroons at Duchess. And so we got into a heated debate because, really at the heart of it, I'm American and I can't lose. And so it's a curse. It really is. So Jerry and I went back and forth, and I was like, oh, I feel bad. I shouldn't have tweeted that, because I said only, I don't know if I should say that, but hipsters or assholes insist on it being macarons.
Did you tell him that bacon sucks? Please don't tell him that.
No, I love
Okay.
bacon. No, we still
Record
have that in
scratch.
common. But it was kind of awkward, and now I'm standing in front of like 20 people talking about it. But I really like Jerry, and so I was kind of like, how are we going to bridge this gap? But it's a French to English translation. I'm so not French. I'm sorry. It's a big failing. I'm not French, and I'm American by birth. So... because I have a really silly French accent.
You say it with an
but
accent,
see,
though? You're like,
look,
macaron.
we're totally working this out, and I think that's what you
I
have
love
to
how
do.
this is a conflict in Edmonton's Twitter community. It's like, it's macaron. Macaroon. No, macaron. And then you're like, hey, we both love bacon.
And that will always keep us together.
Let's eat bacon, macaroons. Macaron! And it starts all over again.
Well, I was actually going to try
Macaroni.
and make macarons for Jerry, but you have to leave your eggs out all damn day. And I like you, but we'll just go to Duchess and have macarons together.
So.
Okay, we'll go.
Do you have a point?
We'll meet up later.
Rick. This is a heated debate. Yeah. Yeah.
It's totally true. It
So
happened.
sometimes it's like the schoolyard mentality. Two people get into a conflict with varying degrees of intensity, i.e. macaron versus macaroon, or...
Sorry, that was a very silly example.
Well, there's been other issues and stuff like that. So going on, I'm sure maybe you guys have less severe issues. Maybe there was something you guys ate at Duchess and you want to correct the pronunciation of it. But there's other conflicts. There's other things that happen in our social media community. For example, won't name names, but there was an organization that posted a rather inflammatory ad on Facebook some time ago. And there was a very heated debate in not only Edmonton's Twitter community, but North America-wide. It kind of went viral, quote unquote, and then there was this huge issue. And like you said before, and like Richard so eloquently put it, there's two sides to the coin. There's one group of people that are firmly entrenched in their beliefs, and there's another group of people that are firmly entrenched in their beliefs, and then you have your gray area with your people in between who are just like, I don't see what their big deal is. So with those issues or any other issues, exactly, back to resolving conflict in the community. So. Oh, that was awesome.
I think for those scenarios, people are always going to say bad things. So you just have to either let them vent, and you can monitor from a business on that specific issue or an issue like that. You have to use that filter. You can't just, there's no bravado and you can't just say things. You've got to actually be able to stand up. People will call you out on what you've said. So I can't just randomly say something that I wouldn't necessarily if I disagreed with you in public, would I say it to you in public? No, but I can on Twitter. And then there's that lash. You've got to either stand up and take it and be accountable and not apologize for if I've offended anybody. Just, I've obviously offended some people.
I hate that.
Yeah.
If I may or may not
Yeah.
have offended
I'm
you,
only sorry if you
I don't mean to offend you, but I really do.
But I think, again, it's just that self, type it, take a second before I hit send. Would I say this to that person in public? Do I really want to die on this hill? Is this the hill I want to die on? There's probably bigger concerns, but to use social media to monitor, because a lot of times people will say negative things. They had a bad experience at your restaurant. They had a bad stay at the Fairmont, which they never would. But somebody might have, everything was perfect, but the pillow wasn't right. But they're going to say that. And again, as businesses, I would either address it and say, make it better, come back, we'd love to have you back, or some great business stories. In fact, at the Jasper Park Lodge, they have the tea house, and somebody was there, and he's like, man, I wouldn't have killed for just a regular cup of coffee. And a couple minutes later, the guy comes from the kitchen with a regular cup of coffee for him. And that's just customer service, but it's also monitoring what you do. And it could have been a conflict, and it could have been taken the wrong way, like, I hate this place, I have no coffee, versus that. So you are who you are online. So if you wouldn't say it and stand up and die on that hill in front of people, I maybe wouldn't do it online either. So
I think that it kind of depends on what the negative conversation is, or negativity isn't always bad. Sometimes if you get feedback about how something went, it might be a good, oh yeah, it's good to hear that wasn't the most positive point at the event. Or there are other times where if it's this ongoing bit of a battle, I kind of feel like there's a place to then have the conversation offline of just, what, we're in the same community, maybe if they're, depending on what they're connected to, it's hard to solve it in 140 characters over and over again. And so I think there is a place for, the next time you run into that person, or being intentional about, let's connect over coffee and just, have a conversation about this. I think maybe we've both misunderstood each other or whatever, to keep that online community and offline community really positive and going well.
I just want to take a statement that you made one step further. I think, and you guys can also disagree if you like, I think you can't completely solve a conflict in 140 characters or less. I think you can't. I think that sometimes, and because it's going to take a conversation. It's going to be like more than one tweet. To quash something in one tweet, I think, is very difficult. And if you've done it before, please tell me, and I'm going to give you a high five afterwards because I'm very impressed. And a unicorn. I will find a unicorn and give you a unicorn, even if it means crazy going. Jerry?
I don't know how to solve it in one tweet, but I think we just went through an election.
Yeah.
Conflict, anyone? Hellfire, brimstone? So I think in politics, if someone's aligned with the party and you're aligned with the party, or even if you're not going to change their opinion, okay? So why try? Just say, like, understand each other's views without being hurtful. And if you do see someone kind of getting out of line, like, we can kind of police it too, you know? Friendly, gently. But yeah, just like Cam said, you know, would you say it to them in person? Think about that.
I think the biggest part again too, and what's so great about the community is you once again taking that online presence and translating it into an offline.
One more point, just so that when you're in texting and tweeting, there's no intonation, there's no tone, you can't gauge body language. There's so many other things to a statement that it can be argumentative or taken argumentative, and it wasn't meant to be that way, and it just literally spirals out of control. So yeah, it's tough. So you've got to kind of gauge how that's going to be taken, or, you know what, I'm sorry, you know, I didn't mean to say it that way, or it sounded snarky after I sent it. I didn't mean to be snarky, but that happens a lot too. So especially when you're in a hurry and you just send something in your mind, you know what it says, but as it's read, it might seem different. So.
One of the ways that I diffuse conflict is, one, I vet the people that I follow. I actually look through like your last 100 tweets, and if I see there's a pattern of attacking people or being mean online, I just won't follow you. And in some cases, I will block you. Dun, dun, dun. It's kind of like your last resort in conflict resolution, but sometimes that's the only solution. Like, if somebody is just, they're being a bully online and they will not leave you alone, even though you've dropped it, you don't want to communicate with them, block them.
Word. Another thing too is emotional context in tweets. Sometimes it's you say something and you didn't mean to make it sound snarky or sarcastic, or there was no ill will directed at anybody, but it sounds like it because they read it with a specific tone in mind. So maybe advice on how to make that tone more neutral or friendly. Sarah?
Consistency. Because I am snarky, but if I snark at you, it's because I love you. So just being consistent in the I mean, you can throw out a joke every now and then if you're a serious person. That's not what I'm saying. But it's that consistency of being who you are. And again, it marries that online, offline, engage your community sort of thing. So, you know, if I send a snarky tweet, it's not because I'm in a bad mood. It's because that's just who I am. So, I mean, it's online. There's that certain level of anonymous. You don't know me. I'm behind my computer. But I think more of us are engaging offline. So, consistency, I find, helps with that.
Anybody else want to build on that? No?
I think what Cam said before, just being aware of it. So, you know, attached to the consistency, you being aware that, oh, this is the tone I have, but okay, if I keep it, you know, so that people know all the time, this is who I am, you know, I'm really sarcastic. So I just have to be aware that, okay, some people really don't get it or really find it offensive. So just being aware, okay, is that going to make sense to somebody, or is somebody going to think that's like, was super rude and I didn't intend it to be? So just being aware before you, as you said, as Cam said, hit send.
Or if you're guessing before you send, don't send.
And maybe this is just because I'm coming from online chat so strongly, but I do use emoticons, and I will use \sarcasm sometimes just to point out, in case you didn't get it, I was being sarcastic. So I don't think there's anything wrong with throwing them there. Some people are like, oh, it's not very professional, and I'm like, well, it's my personal Twitter, and if it helps clarify meaning, go for it.
Excellent. Any other audience questions? You guys are very attentive. Good job, guys. Oh, anybody at all? Anybody know?
other
No?
than Evan, apparently.
I've noticed that a corporate Twitter account that's too serious isn't very fun either, though. Like, I remember WestJet once, and they're a pretty good example of using the social media pretty well most of the time. Their blue tag special things didn't go up when they were supposed to. So they were tweeting and getting everyone excited, the blue tag special will be up, blah, 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 and then it didn't happen. And the first tweet from the WestJet Twitter account after that was, well, this is awkward. Like, I said, thanks for being realistic about that. So, there's a line. I mean, the social media community in general is a little bit lighter than your professional PR. You're not doing press releases and things like that. You don't have to worry about that stuff as much as you do when dealing with mainstream media, essentially. So I appreciate, personally at least, a corporate account that can laugh at itself at times as well, but knows when to be serious and when not to be,
I think that's a really good point. I'm just going to respond back since you're stuck back there.
Go ahead.
I know that when I first started tweeting as Top Draw, the stream updated constantly. It was links to this, check out this tool, check out this brilliant website that was just developed, blah, blah, blah. It all looked like the same thing. So when you take the time to do those personal tweets, still relevant, still, hey, that's cool, but not, go visit this link, it's going to blow your developer mind. People actually notice that because it looks different in their Twitter stream. So again, that's why I say embrace the personal with the business.
I concur wholeheartedly. I seem to be a pretty consistent person on and offline, so I definitely agree with what you're saying. Consistently, man, not really consistently awesome. I'm just Hedgehog. It's not like just Hedgehog. You should put that on a shirt. Oh, note to self. Anyways, where do you see the community going in 1 year, 3 year, 5 years? Do you think it's going to be consistently awesome, or do you think that maybe there's opportunities or stuff on the horizon that maybe you see at SMBYEG, maybe you see at Startup, or Demo Camp, or TEDx, or the fantastic Bob Clubs? Like, do you guys see anything on the horizon that maybe you want to share with us?
I think everybody's taken, Facebook is starting to become so business-oriented. You hear about everybody's events, you hear about, it's hardly anymore about personal. But I think we're going to go away from that and maybe hit a little more with Pinterest. You can choose what to see and who to listen to. But on Twitter, I mean, again, with those feeds of all the promotions and stuff, just people retweeting subject matter, and if they read it or this is great, I think it's going to kind of get away from that because we all get tired of that. Or we'll mute or block those people that do that because, again, it's just time has become so precious, and, we're on our phones and it's, we're talking to people, but we don't want to have to sift through all of that, especially as you grow your following. You hit 2,000, 3,000 followers. I mean, you get a lot of stuff that, it's there 1 second and then 2 seconds later it's gone. So we want to have quantity and quality versus quantity, which I think is where the direction will be. It's a little more about valued real connections than it is just about connections.
So more sweet tweets instead of more tweets, period.
I think so. Like, I don't really want to know, I can go back and see some of the things if it's important, but we have other medium and we're quick to send it out. So in terms of, business opportunities or just what's going on in my day, or this is what I'm doing, or this is what happened this weekend, those are great. But if you just keep resending stuff and automatic retweets, and it just tells me you sent it out, you don't have 2 seconds to, put some value behind it. Like, I really liked what this person had to say, or, hey, I read this, instead of just populating what you do. I think there's going to be more value. And then I think we're going to, as more people become comfortable conversing with it, there will be more actual conversations through Twitter and through the new, as we grow the communities. I mean, it's going to be not just, right now you see some people and they're promoting their business, they're promoting what they do. It's kind of one stream, and they'll kind of get more comfortable with it and grow. So I don't know where, I think we're just going to start phasing out all the advertising and this marketing component to the social media and have a more of a genuine community, or we're going to definitely have channels for, these are the people I want to listen to about personal stuff, and this is the stream for the other stuff, which probably won't read all the time. So
yeah, no, I think that just touching on what you said, I think that the phasing out of marketing promotions, I don't think that's going to happen completely, but there's going to be a genuine like tone towards it. Like you're going to engage in conversations as an organization, but also you're going to be like taking that connection. So you're talking to someone on Twitter and you're like, oh, this would be perfect for this. So i.e. if it's the Hotel McDonald, for example, if someone's like, oh man, you guys are great, I stayed with you once, and you're talking here and there, and he's like, oh man, I have no idea what to get my wife for our anniversary or something like that. Then the Hotel Mac could be like, well, check out our executive suite. They throw a link on. They're like, oh my God, that's perfect. And you're like, try the brunch. It's amazing. And they're like, oh, brunch. I love brunch. And you're like, I know, right? And then, something like that happens, a genuine connection. The clubhouses are also amazing at the Fairmont. But I know, right? I pretty much just talk to myself all day on Twitter. Andrew?
But I think there's different ways to market on social media, like Facebook. Like for myself right now, for the month of May, I'm marketing, but I'm interacting with my fans, like on my Facebook fan page. I'm doing trivia questions to get people involved, but I'm also marketing my cooking classes, right? So it's all marketing for me, but it's fun for the followers too. Other than when I go on Twitter sometimes and I see people that are all sell, and it's boring, especially like insurance people and just like it's all sell. It's boring, right? So like there's different aspects of marketing on social media that I like, and I agree with what you said, but I just thought I'd throw that comment out there.
Well, to your point exactly though, but those are your fan page. That's an opt-in. I've opted in. I want to hear what you're saying. It's not, you're just not shouting at people. And I think we're going to go more to opting in. Yes, I want to hear. Do I want to sign in for your e-blasts? No, but I want to opt in. I go on Facebook and I hit fan pages and I follow these companies. I'm opting in, but don't just shout at me every time. And I think that's going to be more what's happening. You give me permission to listen to what you're saying, and you also give me permission to opt out if your dialogue is going from where I don't want to go. So I think we'll take ownership of businesses, we'll take ownership of people. And again, if all of a sudden I don't like that, or maybe we've got young kids and we're following these kind of businesses, and then now we no longer need to follow stuff that's relative to young kids, we're unfollowing those pages or just not listening to them anymore. As you're a golfer in the summer, you look at all the golf stuff. In the winter, you're a skier, you look at ski stuff. So am I watching all the ski pages in the summer? No. So, but like you said, you're opting into those things, not just shouting to that.
I think people tend to get their terms a little mixed up, or they don't get their terms mixed up. They just haven't separated the fact that, getting the word out about what you do and why you do it is marketing, but there's a whole bunch of different categories under that. Advertising is one. Social media is a different one. You can't advertise on social media. You can market there, sure. You can engage with people, you can give them value, but the whole sell, that's part of advertising, and that's one little silo of your marketing message. And when people think that's, marketing, advertising, social media, it's all billboards, right? It's all just me, come buy my stuff. And the nice thing about social media is that it kind of monitors itself that way, because that stuff doesn't work. So you get people who either use bots, like we've found all over the SMBYEG feed today, or you get people who just, we tried this Twitter stuff, it's not working. We're advertising on it 5 times a day. No one's following us. I don't get it.
Yeah, having quotas for the number of tweets to have in a day isn't usually a good idea in a social media strategy, I find. Because sometimes there'll be more, sometimes there'll be less. If you're engaging with people, sometimes people are talking more and sometimes talking less and saying, oh, I'm over my quota, that costs more, or we're under quota today for tweets. But on what Randy was saying about broadcasting instead of engaging, how many of you followed the Global Edmonton Facebook page on Facebook? Have you ever, do you read the comments, or have you started to just ignore them because they're so awful? Yeah, and that's because Global never engages. They never say, hey, be respectful or anything like that. They just post a link and they're done. And they let the comments go off the deep end. If you took most of those commenters on some of these stories and put them together, you'd probably get a lynch mob ready to go. It's sad to watch, and they're doing it wrong.
Take notice, Global Edmonton. So once again, I think it goes back to quality over quantity. So back to our question. What do you see on the horizon of our communities?
Well, as a mom, there's been a big trend for people to unplug. We're on this lovely pendulum or swing set, if you were, where we love technology and now we hate technology. So I think it's going to swing back. Like, I don't know if everybody else who doesn't have a toddler has noticed that anywhere. But I think there will be a trend towards, let's shy away from technology a bit. Let's get back to the face-to-face, the meet and greets, the old school sort of way of connecting with people. But that said, I don't think social media is going anywhere. Like, it's going to be a permanent fixture, and it will morph in a variety of different ways, I'm sure, as the technology changes and increases. Maybe I won't need my phone. Maybe I can tweet you from my arm or something. But I don't know. I see people pushing hard for the old school face-to-face bit again. It's a good thing we offer that opportunity.
More
with
meaningful
OMYEG.
personal relationships.
Yeah, sorry, I have a microphone. I should use it.
That's all good.
Anyone else?
I concur with both of those thoughts. And I think the cool thing about social media is that, you know, you look back and it's still relatively new. So 5 years from now, really, who knows what it's going to look like and what will exist or won't exist or what will be the MySpace 5 years from now. So.
As technology advances, we'll probably see more kind of that Minority Report idea where the billboards change to your persona. I mean, all that kind of stuff might happen, and we'll have more access to it, but we're going to be able to really appreciate our time away from it. So we'll be off, we're off, and then when we're on, we're expecting more, and it's faster, more information, but I think that it's definitely an on-off. Right now, a lot of people have integrated it in their life totally, and it's, even if you're at work and you're getting email at 9 o'clock at night, and you might probably answer it. And I think the expectation is that we're getting 12 hours of work out of 8 hours of pay. So it's, now it's like my work phone's off, my computer's off. This is family time. This is personal quality time. So.
Burn it to the ground.
My comment on this is I got into Twitter a few years ago. One of the biggest benefits that I found from Twitter was out of everything that I've done online, I have never met as many people face to face as I have through Twitter. And I'm kind of sensing that we're actually getting away from that a little bit right now, and we don't have as many tweet ups and coffee groups of more than just a few people. But that was one of the biggest things, and I have to say that I brag wherever I go that Edmonton has set the trend in that. And there's a lot of people that we could say were really active and worked at that. One of them sitting at the back of the room as a chauffeur for that young gentleman. But I honestly believe that we use different social media on a personal level. We use different social media for different things. I use my Facebook for keeping in touch with Kiwanis members around the world. And that's my primary there, although I keep track with somebody here too. But Twitter is essentially local for me. And that's the people in this room that I get to meet for the first time today or that I've met many times before. And we get together and we have coffee. That face-to-face stuff, I think Twitter really lends itself to that. And we can't lose that part of it because, like you say, Twitter will be around, the social media will be around a long time. But it's great to be high tech, but we have to be high touch as well. And from a company point of view, doing a corporate Twitter account, I totally agree with what's been said. You have to have a dialogue with people. You have to talk with people, not just to them, and provide interesting information and maybe some back and forth. And I used to do the Facebook and Twitter for Alberta Food Banks. I never pushed stuff there. I always tried to dialogue. And now I do it for Edmonton Wireless, and we're developing. And what we want to do is we want to dialogue with people, give them a chance to say to us. And we have information that we can pass along to them that might help them with using their phones or doing whatever. But also, making little comments to people, like I did to Bobby this morning, from the corporate account, because you need that. You need that personal touch. And I know I'm yankering on, but I think that's really, really important.
Personally, it's really cool when a company tweets you or follows you. Like, follows you is one thing, because oh yeah, they're just stacking up their numbers. But when they tweet you and use your name, that's cool. But one thing I would caution is make sure I know who I'm tweeting. Because if we're getting this conversation, that's great, I'm talking to a building, but who is actually tweeting that? So I don't think every tweet needs to have, you know, that little circumflex thing and then the initials. Put it in the bio, like tweets by Sarah, tweets by whoever. So I know that one day I'm actually going to hopefully meet you when I come to your restaurant or meet you at an event. I'm not just tweeting some person, you know. So I think it's to make it really personal. Let me know who I'm talking to. Okay.
That goes for the magpie and the coyote too. Us, who are you?
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it around, just a complete 180-degree turn, and I want you guys all to ask the audience a question as like a take-home thought, something that they can kind of stew on for the rest of their work days, and maybe the weekend if you guys have really slow weekends, or you know you're waiting for the barbecue to heat up or something like that. So, take-home thoughts, Sarah.
I don't have a microphone. I'll stew on that for a minute.
All right.
I would say from a business perspective, if you've got customers and clients and want to hear testimonials, what avenues are you giving them to tell? Because everyone wants to tell a great story. Do we give them those opportunities? How are you channeling those people or encouraging them to tell that story? Because again, 20 people talking about how great you are is much more impactful than you telling everybody how great you are. So think about what stream of social media we're using, whether it's our Facebook page or LinkedIn, generating testimonials. But again, don't ask for testimonial, but I think people want to tell great stories, and how are you going to let them do that?
Coming from somebody that does lots of events or is connected to people that do lots of events, my thought is how do you share continually what's going on in the community without it just feeling like a newsletter, but really being specific about that event that maybe you're talking about or highlighting.
And I'm going to give you an actual takeaway. I want you to meet somebody from your Twitter stream in the next month. And then you can tell me about it at the next social media breakfast. So bridge that gap, that on and offline gap. Think about that.
Nice. Giving them a homework assignment. I like it.
Yeah.
One more for our panelists. One, I don't know if you want to call him a champion or an aficionado, one person that you know online that these people should, if they don't already follow them, or meet them offline.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have a mic.
I do have a microphone. That's hard. There's so many amazing people in Edmonton. Ooh, I feel like I'm going to be playing favorites. But Jen Banks, also a top draw gal, she knows everyone and connects with everyone. She's got a massive numbers following her, but she consistently engages. And it's maybe not a super deep level with every single solitary person, but I consistently see her making an effort. So you probably won't meet her. She's home with a newish born baby. But in the coming months, be sure you connect with her. Follow her on Twitter at SMBYEG. And I hope this makes up for me forgetting to mention her in my introduction.
I would say somebody in one of the Bob clubs. Her name's Sherry Greer. She's a realtor, but she's become such a great Edmonton promoter and really just wants to meet people, put them in your network, and learn more about you. Because again, she's a center of influence for a lot of new people, and she's kind of taken to Twitter. Was a new start on Twitter about a year ago, and has just really ramped it up. Is kind of doing it just right. So I would say at Sherry Greer would be somebody I'd want to meet.
I'm going to say one of our Startup Edmonton board members, Chris Labossiere. I enjoy following him because I think he has a good mixture of talking about his interests, whether it be flights or politics, and then sharing about his business.
Who would I pick? Don't ask me that question.
I did. You have to answer it.
Oh, man. Did I say it had to be Edmonton specific? Damn. Well, Calgary. A Calgary person that you guys should definitely follow. I'm going to do an Edmonton one as well, too. But Donna McTee, the one of the organizers of the social media breakfast in Calgary, amazing person to follow. She seems to be really connected, but in a genuine way. She's like, oh, geez, I know somebody. Or I know someone. You should talk to this person. You should talk to this person. Like, you're talking to her about comic books, or you're talking to her about lacrosse, or you're talking to her about any sort of topic. And she's like, you know what? You would love to meet so-and-so. I'll connect you. Like, she's a connector in the purest sense of the word. So, Donna McTee. In Edmonton, why'd you have to do this to me? Because it's like picking favorites. You're right. Because there's so many amazing people on. Just follow the hashtag SMBYEG. That's a cop out. Do you want? Okay. Who? I didn't get that one. Sorry.
Trish Walker is Talker 1, the number 1. She's really cool, a lot of fun. She's a mother, and she comes out to a lot of things. And the whole drift thing last week, she kind of rallied that up, and she's a good advocate. So there, a little pushy, but she's lovely.
I'll go with Adam Rosenhart, Bingo Fuel. Reason why I'll go with Adam is because he was kind of like, I listened to the Unknown Studio podcast when I was a new resident of Edmonton, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy's such a cool thing, him and Scott C. Bourgeois. Unknown Studio, you guys should check it out. It's amazing. And then when I actually met him in person, it was at a tweet up. It was at, oh man, which one was it? Twestival. I think it was the Twestival event that they had at Red Star Pub. And forgive me, Adam, if it was I met you before that. But he was just such an amazing down-to-earth person. And I can speak the same for Jen Banks, Chris Labossiere, and I forgot who you mentioned.
Sherry Grimm.
Sherry. I have not met Sherry yet, but I will. But that's the thing. They're consistent. The person you see online is the person you'll meet offline. And they're genuine, down-to-earth people. Another tip, if you guys are like, who else should I follow if you're maybe starting a new Twitter account? Think about it. I'm looking right at you. See who follows SMBYEG and who SMBYEG follows, because 9 times out of 10, and I tried to keep up on this, and I'll probably be doing it tonight, anyone who tweets at us or tweets about us, I'll follow. And those are not pretty engaged people in Edmonton's social media community, and sometimes Calgary's and all that. These are people that you should want to meet, and they're the people that want to meet you too. So, or any of these fine people on Twitter. I'll make sure I mention them all, their personal tweets, their Twitter accounts, and their organizational Twitter accounts, because these guys drop some amazing tweets. And thank you so much for participating in the panel today. I really appreciate it. Let's hear for our panelists. One more round of applause for the awesome Hotel McDonald and CBC for making this happen. Last call for questions. Questions going once, questions going twice. Sold. Thank you again for coming to Social Media Breakfast. We will see you all in June. Have a great day. Grab some more fruit flowers.